You have reached the Geek Elite. Good luck.
So, I have a question. Have you ever wanted to get into comics, but you just didn't know where to start? Well, welcome to Comics Quest. I'm JD Martin, and every week I sit down with a guest to talk a comic that I think anybody can pick up and start their comics reading journey. We take a look at psychedelic sci-fi, fantastical action, heart-wrenching love stories, and of course, superheroes. So check us out at certainpov.com or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Welcome back for another issue of Imagine If. This week, we are finally going to do it. We're going to talk about Black Widow 2021. It's been 2 weeks. It's been out for longer than 2 weeks. So I feel like spoilers are on the table. If you haven't seen it yet, you've had plenty of time. But if you haven't, pause the podcast, go watch it, come back, listen to us again.
Ja, comrade, all is good. We talk Widow now.
In Russia, you listen to
Movie
podcasts first.
Yeah. Podcast you make, then you make movie as well.
That's right. Chris is here with me, and we're going to be talking about Black Widow 2021, the return of the MCU film.
To the big screen.
To the big screen.
So we've had little mini Marvels, and they've been great.
Chris is going to do that accent throughout the whole podcast, so be prepared.
Why did our numbers drop?
It's all those Russian bots are like, we don't appreciate this.
I am offended.
But as always, before we get to our main topic, we're going to talk about, comic books, because that's why we're here. We're going to talk about what is new on the spinner rack for New Comic Book Day.
Yep. All right. So you go to your local comic shop and you decide to take a look. Go on Tuesday. Why? Because that's all the brand new DC books. So we will be getting an Action Comics Annual 2021 by Philip Kennedy Johnson. So he is doing some major stuff there. And from the looks of this cover, I think we're going to be exploring the House of L. Maybe the past, potentially the future, considering Future State was a big thing. So definitely this ties into his series. He's been doing a lot of stuff on Action and Superman. So if you want to get some of the new mystery points, I would say definitely check it out.
What am I looking at here on this cover?
So if you look at, this one, so we've got the cover B, and this is more so cover B by Valentin Delandro. This is like, I kind of call these the character design ones. Like, they give you a nice profile shot, an action shot of characters.
That's all one character?
Oh, no, that's multiple characters.
Oh, okay.
Actually, if you go over to the there you go, right there. This one shows us, so yeah, you guys can see that. Scott Goldelski's regular cover, we see some of the characters from the Superman lineage that we saw in Future State. So I'm not entirely 100% sure who they are because I didn't read them. I skimmed it, but this is like, these are the ancestors past Jonathan Kent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, you mean descendants?
There we go. That's right.
Okay.
I forgot my timeline.
The character that's in the background right there, and this is how out of touch I am with reading comics or more recent comics. The character in the background right there with the hood and the eye, is that the same Jor-El that was keeping Tim Drake captive?
No, nobody knows what happened with that.
Okay,
that
so
was just kind of a plot line that went up in the air. This is actually, it's a big reveal. And again, if you had read Future State, and I'm so ticked at myself because like I said, I flipped through this. Oh man, I don't think it's Jonathan Kent, but it's like this is the person in the Superman family who went rogue.
Oh, okay.
And they were the one that like almost made it to a point where like the Superman shield meant hope, now it meant fear, that type of thing. So yeah, just playing along that. But this is another big, so moving along, one of my big picks that I'm excited for, Blue and Gold #1. Yes, it's finally here, and it is being done by Dan Jurgens and Ryan Sook. This is going to be interesting because Dan's kind of talked about Resurrections because Booster Gold is very much outside of like, I mean, who knows if he went from post-crisis to New 52 to Rebirth, and like was like, I stayed me the whole time. I know you all changed, but I'm still me. I mean, who knows? But Ted Kord, he got killed in in post-crisis. Then he was turned into a young teenager during New 52.
Yeah.
And then in Rebirth, it's, hey, he's alive, and we're not explaining how that happened. And I'm okay with it. I mean, I would love, as somebody who aspires to be a writer, I would love to be given that challenge. How did Ted Kord survive?
But he remembers being shot by...
yes, but again, that's just Tom King being like, what am I gonna do? Heroes and crosses, But you bring up a very valid point. It's like, well, how does a man remember how he dies, but doesn't remember how he came back? It's so... Dan's kind of hinted that he might be touching that. I hope he does. I hope he tackles that. I think that'd be great. But Bros Before Heroes, this is going to be exciting. Go ahead.
What's the year that Booster Gold's from again?
Oh my God, 2 years ago, because the future is beyond us. No,
that's actually what I was going to get at. What happens when we get to the point where we're in the timeline or the time year that Booster Gold is actually from, that he's supposed to have traveled from?
Yeah.
I feel like it's like 25 something.
It's something like that, yeah. Let me see if I can get you an exact one. And even then, I hope Dan Jurgens was smart enough to be like, I'm not stating, we just know that he's from the future.
Well, isn't he supposed to be
25th century?
The 25th century, yeah.
Yes.
So because he's got to be further out than the Legion, because he uses a Legion ring and a Legion time bubble.
Yeah, like they're supposed to
around.
be casually there, so he's got to be to the point where they're willing to be like, yeah, let's put these amazing artifacts on display.
Okay,
some janitor to.
So it's going to be a while before we get to that point.
Yeah, but anyway, so yes, this is going to be if I remember correctly, I think it's an 8-part miniseries. Both covers are very interesting. I didn't review it, but I did sneak peek it. So I will tell you this: it's fun, but it's also a little boring. This is the talking issue. There's going to be a lot of setup, so you'll just have to see what's going on there. Catwoman issue 33 will be out, and if I'm looking at that correctly, I think Catwoman is making some time with. Oh my God, what do they call him? Father Azrael or something like that?
Father Dumas?
Yeah, Father Dumas. So he's going to be an upcoming villain.
Or is
there.
it Father Valley?
You know what? I think you're right. I think it's Father Valley.
Yeah. That's what it is.
So there's going to be something that plays up over there. What is more interesting, though, is on the variant cover, we have Poison Ivy. So how will she be tying into this book? What's going to be happening there? So that's going to bring up some questions. Flash, issue 772 will be out. Wally West has been redeemed, and now it's time to go be a superhero. And it looks like he's going to be going up against Heatwave to see what's going on over there.
Mick Rory.
Yeah. So,
there's not been a second Heat Wave, is there?
I don't believe so. I think we've only had the one.
Not like Mirror Master.
Yeah, I think Mirror Master and Pied Piper. Nope, Pied Piper's always been Pied Piper, I believe.
It was Alex Walker, so Trickster? Prankster?
Yeah,
Trickster.
That's right. They had the kid, but the kid, they got rid of him. They were like, we don't, because what's the famous thief of the Western days?
So it's Jesse James. It's James Jesse.
James Jesse. And then so we had the kid Axel Walker.
Axel Walker.
Yeah, he was definitely an Axel. All right.
Did he get hit by a car?
Oh no.
Oh, an Axel like an a-hole.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, got you.
Yeah, but yeah, so we'll just leave that joke in the past. Booster fixed that for me. Anyway, so we're definitely excited about that. Next up, we've got Justice League issue 65. So I love this cover because I think Dinah is going to start catching on to Checkmate. So she's probably not going to be happy that Ollie's been keeping secrets from her. So I'm very excited to see what's going to happen there. But I'm so bummed because Bendis gave us the Illuminati, and I think that's one of the coolest Marvel teams because it's got a little sampling of everybody. You got a little Inhuman, you got a little Mutant, they're all in there. I want a DC one, but it's do I go as far back as Identity Crisis, and do I take the Secret League, the one that's willing to brainwash you? Do I use the new Totality team, Justice League Totality? I don't like the fact that there's too many villains on that team. And then Checkmate, Green Arrow and all these other master detectives, and they needed Green Arrow, but they're all there. And I feel like that's going to be like the League of, Charlie's with his puzzle map string theory, So I keep hoping maybe Bendis will give me some kind of cool team, but yeah, we'll see there.
We'll see.
But yeah, fans of Checkmate, definitely make sure you pick up this issue because I'm sure it'll cross over. We've got ourselves some Legends of the Dark Knight issue 3, some in continuity, out of continuity tales. Who knows? It's all just fun. So if you are fans of the Joker's daughter, definitely check her out because it looks like she's right there on that main cover by Derek Robertson. And then even then, Legends of the Dark Knight is getting 3 variant covers, so definitely check that out. This is pretty fun. So Nightwing has been doing amazing. So issue 81 is going back to reprint, and it's got very much a 1980s pretty in pink cover. It's pretty wild. I love the simplicity of it. I love the color popping. And I am interested. So the fact that Tim Drake's on the cover is fun, but I love the fact that now when they refer to him, they're not ready to call him just Robin yet. So we're not Red Robin. We're not the Drake, but we don't know what to call him. So they're always like, oh, Tim Drake guest stars.
So is it literally like the only difference between the only way to differentiate between Damian and Tim now is like the inside the cover of, or the inside color of the cape?
Pretty much. Like, I mean, it's those, character aspects to it. It's kind of like the Flash, Barry and Wally essentially have the same costume. But if you look at the lightning bolts, so Barry's is a continual bolt, Wally's is 2 bolts that converge in the center.
Right.
Barry has wingtips on his boots, Wally doesn't.
The different arcs in the lightning bolt.
Well, they've changed that. Originally, they were the same because you don't want to lose that logo that you've copyrighted. Right. But then, once we got Flash Rebirth, then they were like, oh, well, let's just do it. It's got like a zigzag, like a tri-point inside. Now it's the 2 points.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's those subtle little things. So like they were playing with the idea, and I noticed they've dropped it because it used to be a double R
for the Red Robin.
Yeah, on Tim Drake's, but it's like he's just Robin. So get rid of that.
We just have 2 Robins in the world.
Yeah, we just have 2 Robins. But hey, I'm cool with it, man. I mean, somebody can say Spider-Man, and all I got to do is look at the costume and be like, oh, that's Miles, or that's Peter, or maybe it's Ben. Hey, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, if you want to support some Nightwing, definitely go out, pick up that second cover. And then do yourself a favor, make sure you go and pick up issue 82, because if you read issue 81, it was insane. That last page reveal where we discover... Oh, heck with it. I'm going to say it. Melinda Zuko has captured Nightwing and unmasked him. And he's like, oh, and she's like, no, I know who you are, Dick. I'm your sister.
What?
Exactly. We didn't plan that. So in issue 82, she goes into the details and she's like, here's how I'm your sister. Here's how it all works. And it was great because... shameless plug, go check out my review of this. But I love this because I've been around to see Barry Allen get a twin brother in Thawne. I've been around to see Daredevil. Now his twin brother exists. I've seen Spider-Man get a sister with Teresa, and now Dick Grayson's getting a sister. So it's like, okay. And for the most part, I've liked most of them. I enjoyed Thawne. I can't wait till Mike gets more play. Teresa, I can't wait till Marvel decides, is she really a Parker or not? And I don't want to spend a lot of time bashing Nick Spencer, but as they've told us, get off the pot arch, so do something. But I'm very excited here because Tom Taylor laid it out. So here we go.
Why did 81 and 82 come out in the same week?
So 81 was out last month. It did so well, and it makes perfect sense because obviously, because even Tom Taylor was kind of like, hey, be careful what you're saying when you're doing your reviews and stuff like that. Because if I remember correctly, I think 81, we got to put it out early. So that was the big reveal. That's the big hot spot issue. And since they're putting out the conclusion to it, yeah, why not put the second print? That way people who missed out are going to go and buy. Because right now, I don't know if you're watching the secondary market. Holy crap. Books are expensive. I bought Daredevil, Chip Zdarsky's run. I bought the second printing cover just because I liked it. And then luckily, once Tom Taylor took over Nightwing, I think issue 78, they did a second printing and I got it. And I was like, oh, I kind of wanted to set the two of them together because they're character posters. It's like, hey, why am I going to buy posters when I got comic book covers? And I couldn't find my Daredevil. So I thought about being lazy. I'll just buy one off eBay, right?
Not so
$60
much.
bucks. $60 for a second printing. I remember when second printings were like a damnation on you. Like, what? How dare you give me a second printing?
Not
This
so
is
much
garbage.
anymore.
Now they're almost, and if I got them CGC'd, oh my God, they'd be even crazier. So one of these years, maybe, hopefully. But yeah. So anyways, pick up Nightwing. I cannot say enough about it. It's fantastic. We are getting a brand new volume of Shazam #1 by Tim Sheridan. So if you want to find out what's going on with Red X, Billy Batson, the Teen Titans, and Shazam, definitely pick this book up. I'm curious myself because if the rumors are true that Billy Batson is Red X, then who is Shazam and what's going on?
That's crazy.
This is something wild. Or maybe this is the missing piece that tells us why Billy had to do what he had to do. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, issue 2 will be out. So if you want to see Tom King take Kara and just put her on a bizarre adventure, then invest in a year and see what happens.
Now, how does this tie into the fact that he was a CIA analyst? Like, that's usually a lot of his stories have something to do with like government espionage and all that stuff.
Yeah, well, maybe you play up the fact that she's undercover. I mean,
Is she?
I think so. I don't think this is. I skimmed through it because I wasn't reading it. I don't normally read Supergirl, but like, major spoiler,
Sure.
he kills her in the first issue.
Oh,
Like she's just dead, and you're like, wait, what?
How do you get to issue 2 then?
Yeah, so, but they play that stuff. Nothing is real. Everything is real, But I think that's what's going to happen. I think this is an off-world adventure, so it's kind of like, okay, this could lend itself to him being overseas, a stranger in a strange land. So that's how I kind of see that one playing out. But we'll see. 12 months from now, let's revisit that. Superman and the Authority #1. Grant Morrison. They have decided to come back to comics, and they are going after Superman. So this is going to be crazy because when you look at this, like, Superman's got gray hair. He's not wearing your traditional costume. He's got the Kingdom Come logo. Like, what is going on? And to throw even more monkey wrenches into this in the preview, right? Superman is talking to John F. Kennedy.
Oh,
And John F. Kennedy is like, I need you to take care of things. Like, I want you to band the superheroes together, and I don't want you to get in man's way because we need to prosper as a race. But I want you there. I want you to take care of stuff. And it's even like, do you want me to come to Dallas, Mr. President? No, it'll it's like, whoa, like, this is not just like, oh, some random John F. Kennedy. No, this is 1963 JFK, and so. Like, Grant's always got wild ideas, so I'm very curious to see what they're planning to do.
I think I honestly need to go pick this up. Like, The Authority was a book that I really enjoyed. So to see Superman and, well, the last time Superman went up against the Authority, which was then called the Elite, because they were like, DC Comics was like, well, there's a reason why Superman, like, the Authority wouldn't work against Superman, like, because it's different storytelling and stuff like that. So they needed to show. But like, I like this. I was always a big fan of the Authority. I mean, obviously now Wildstorm has been integrated into DC more, like, because you've got Midnighter and Apollo just hanging out, with the Justice League, so to speak. Just to see what this is, I might need to go pick this up.
And with Mikhail Jane and art, it's even better. You'll recognize some of his art from Batman. He was one of the interior artists. So, like, it's definitely a win-win-win. So that is your assignment, because I want to be invested and learn about it, but at the same time, I could care less about the Authority. But if you look, luckily this cover B, the Brian Hitch variant, you'll notice... Oh, what was that British guy? Because he was
Manchester
from
Black.
There we go, Manchester Black. So he's in this.
So he was the equivalent to what was her name in the Authority? Something, not Quantum. It was, I forget what it was. Jenny Sparks.
Okay, Jenny Sparks.
Because the newer version of her that came out in the year 2000 was Jenny Quantum. Like, because she was born in 1900. She was Jenny Sparks because it was the industrial age and electricity was a big thing. So she was the Jenny of that millennium.
Okay.
And now we're 2000. We're getting into more different type of science. Quantum was the thing, but so she was even more powerful.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
But yeah, he was supposed to be the version of her. Instead of having electrical powers, he had mind powers, and Manchester Black was the English version of DC version of her. Anyways,
he was a dick.
He was a dick. Yes, and he was not too long ago was seen in Superman when he tried to corrupt Jonathan Kent.
That's right. I forgot about that. He did. He popped up over there.
When they were living in not Smallville, some upstate New York fucking farm or whatever. So there you go. I'll see if I can go find that somewhere. But yeah, that Brian Hitch cover, I really dig that.
Yeah, it's interesting. And even people are already asking, like, how does this fit into continuity? That's a great question.
It doesn't. It's the
Omniverse.
Not the Omniverse, the Metaverse, right?
Metaverse. Well, we've got so many names. We got the Linear Verse from that Generations Tale, not the Generations with John Byrne, but a different one.
Right.
We have the Omniverse from Death Metal.
That's right.
We have the Metaverse as brought up by Doomsday Clock. So it's like even they've like we don't know what we want to call this thing.
It's just comic books now.
Yep.
It's pre Crisis on Infinite Earths, and just like, hey, we're gonna tell whatever story we want. We'll decide later if it exists in any continuity.
If the sales are good enough, then it counts.
And you know what? I can't blame them. Like the only person that's really hurting is like the one couple people. But you love stories.
Yeah, no, I can get past that. Like, I love stories, but I love it even more when it all comes together. But I mean, I will never dismiss All-Star Superman, even though it doesn't fit in with
exactly,
the whole shebang of everything.
But there are little nuggets that do fit in, right? Like the unknown Superman or the
yeah. Well, it ties into like Grant's trilogy in reverse Superman, so like it harkens back to DC 1 million. It gets referenced in Action Comics, and even then, like a buddy of mine was saying that this Superman and the Authority might be a conclusion to Grant's Action Comics New 52.
Wow.
So it's like, wow, this has been sitting in the oven for quite a while. So yeah, no, I mean, I'm gung-ho. Story should always dictate. It's very interesting. So I guess I'm going to go off on a tangent if you don't mind. I've been reading a lot of interviews with old creators, and it's interesting because I'm going to say an evil word right now. Comicsgate. Comicsgate doesn't get it. Like, comics have always been about change. I mean, how can I sit here and be like, I don't want to see change when my favorite superhero, Green Lantern, is change?
Is change, yeah.
Like Hal Jordan comes from Alan Scott, okay. Now, I do agree. Sometimes I've seen change in comics that just made no sense. Organic webbing with Spider-Man. I get it. The movie did it, but don't take away from me the comic books.
Stuff like that gets weeded out.
Well, it gets weeded out, but sometimes things do stay. And I do feel when characters get dismissed. I think that's also a bummer too. This character may be popular, but they shouldn't just be, but that's a long story for a long time. But anyways, it was interesting because I was reading this interview with Julie Schwartz, and even Julie Schwartz, like even, writers and editors back then were like, look, we want to appreciate continuity, but continuity should be at max 10 years. And after that, it needs to be somebody else's comics. And it's like, wow, that's fair. That's something else. And it made a lot more sense back then because you didn't have disposable income. You didn't have 30-year-old dudes going into a comic shop like you do now. Mm-hmm. Fathers and sons and mothers and daughters and everyone in between weren't sharing the hobby generationally, so it's very interesting. So I'm very curious to see how DC, because I love what they're doing right now, like with this next book, Superman Red and Blue issue 5. You've got a great Amanda Conner cover there. This is just pure adventures of Superman. Do they fit in continuity? Maybe, maybe not. That's great.
But then later on, also you could eventually get someone like, I don't know, Gail Simone or Tom King or Jeff Johns. It's like, well, these are all the story points that I liked in all these different versions of this character, and I'm going to bring it all into one, right?
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Like there is play that way, yeah, where it's like, hey, let's make an amalgam of the character bequeathed from itself.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, nothing wrong with that, because if something comes along that is worthwhile, then add it to it. Like we mentioned last time, Superman gained a lot from his radio show, mm-hmm. something that none of us has probably probably listened to. You know, like maybe we've heard the tagline, you know, faster than a locomotive. That's about it. But there is a lot of growth that can come from these things. So yeah, so definitely good stuff there. So check that out, Superman Red and Blue. I can't wait. I'm probably going to have to cheat and do the trade on this one because there's been a lot of wild stories. A lot of great artwork. Truth and Justice issue 6 will be out. So this adventure, this takes on character struggles and brings it forward. And I believe this issue, it looks like they're going to be focusing on Damian. So it'll be interesting what they'll be adding to his character.
All right. So this is going to be a strange question, but try and follow me with it. I know that Dick Grayson is your favorite. Mm-hmm. Is a favorite of the Robins, correct?
Yes.
Who do you think is the best written Robin?
Oh, Tim Drake.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, I love Dick Grayson, but the thing is, Dick Grayson, like for the initial part of his continuity,
it's all
he's
campy
just
stuff,
like,
right?
yeah, it's campy stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, he's a victim of the time. Jason's first appearance when he's a blonde-haired circus acrobat and then he gets morphed into being Dick Grayson Jr. Was just awful. When Max Allan Collins, Mac, came along and revamped Batman post-crisis, and they did the whole second chances, and this is the story where Jason Todd is stealing the wheels from the Batmobile, he got a little bit more interesting.
But the time period in actual years between that and his death is what?
Oh God, we're talking from his revamping to then,
yeah,
like maybe 3 years,
yeah.
like 1987 to 1989. God, so 2 years.
So people thinking of him as Robin, it's more of you're remembering stuff that they've added in afterwards.
Yep, exactly. Like you're having this like, oh, all the new history that's been pumped into the character of Jason Todd, because yeah, he was dead longer than he was published. But Tim Drake came in, and I mean, one of my favorite stories, A Lonely Place of Dying. Like, it's the story where he is, you know, he's like trying to heal the wounds between Dick and Bruce. And like, you know, he's the one who's like, Batman needs a Robin. And even then, like, I guess and there's like an emotional beat to it. So Batman Year 3 was like the first comic I ever read of Nightwing. I was looking through back issues, and of course it was like Year 3, and I found all 4 parts of the storyline. So I'm excited because I'm like, I've got a complete story, because that was sometimes the risk when you would buy back issues back in the day. They're not going to let you open it up. Of course they don't, because then you're going to be like, oh, I need to buy 2 issues. I'll put it back. So I got part 1 through 4, and it was wild because in that issue, in part 1, that's Tim Drake's actual first appearance. Like, we see him in the stands watching Dick Grayson perform that night that his parents die. But anyways, he chose to be a Robin. He's a great detective, and he's been written amazing. Like, I just think he's the best. And even then too, like, I don't know if you read this series, and if you haven't, I got to find a way to get it to you. But Red Robin, like, that one was so great when he's like, no, Bruce is not dead. Everything's going to be okay. He challenges Ra's al Ghul, and even Ra's al Ghul is like, you've done a good job, detective. And it's like, everyone's like, oh my God, that's insane. So I think Tim is the best written Robin, the best Robin. Those are the titles I give him.
Okay. That was just interesting. I mean, because now we're looking at like this Truth and Justice book is it about Damian Wayne? I understand that he's on the cover.
It's more stories of.
So it's more anthology
complexity. Yeah, it's an anthology book, and it'll hit certain characters. So I'm very curious. Like, well, how do you get Damian up there? You know, like, does it play with the fact that he's a killer who became a hero? I don't know. You know?
Well, I mean, if you break it down, like, he's the son of the Demon's Head, right?
Grandson of the Demon's
Head. Grandson.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah. Yes, my bad. But like, I feel like Ra's al Ghul is always about truth and justice too, just a different, more perverted version.
Yeah.
So it's like the truth. I'm always going to tell you exactly what I'm going to do. I'm not keeping anything secret. And justice is like, well, this guy stole from this guy, so obviously he gets killed. Like, that's
a good way of looking at it.
I mean, and then obviously Damian's father, Bruce, has to teach him a different version of truth and justice, like the one that we're more acceptable of.
Yeah. No, and that's honestly a good way to look at it. I didn't picture that, because you're like that. I guess it's the unique mystique about Ra's al Ghul. He's not your typical like, I'm not here to rob $1 million. I'm here to make the world a better place. And I mean it when I say it. It's just you won't like what it takes between now methods, and then.
So I just had to go look up. Like, I didn't realize Damian Wayne was created in 2011. I felt like I feel like he's older than that, but that's only 10 years.
Yeah, because that's Grant Morrison, his Batman run.
Oh,
yeah. When they took over Batman, like I think it was because I remember it was Batman 666. That was the Damian issue.
Yep.
So it give 20 issues before that or something like that. When Grant Morrison took over, that one of the first things he introduced was Damian. It was like, oh, this is wild, And even then, like, there's now I think this might shed some light on why you feel like it's older. So if we go back to Kingdom Come, Bruce had a son in that.
Yeah, but that's I was thinking of the Night Star, aren't I?
No, not that was Dick and Corey's child. No, but Bruce had a child. It's like Ibn Asnufen or however.
That's right.
Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah.
However those words are formed,
which is also
the son of the Bat. I think is what his translates into. So I mean,
maybe
is there argument that that's Damian?
There's a good argument that could be made there. Because it's Talia and his kid, right?
Yeah. And that's true. That even goes all the way back to Birth of the Demon, Son of the Demon, like those 1970s stories. So he's old and new at the same time.
All right, we can move on.
We can move on. So Truth and Justice issue 6. If we start looking at collected editions, we've got Batman: The Dark Prince Charming. This was Enrico Marini's trilogy. If I remember correctly, being collected as one collection. Very visual, striking art. So definitely check it out. Future State Wonder Woman trade paperback will be out. And this will collect the adventures of our 3 Wonder Women as they are in the future state. Suicide Squad Case Files 1 trade paperback will be out. So this is timed just for the movie. So this way we can kind of have like a greatest hits of these characters and some of the adventures that they've been on.
Who's that on the cover?
I have no clue because they're just generic enough. There's no symbol. So I have... Yeah, it's a woman pointing a gun at us, and I have no clue.
At first, I wanted to say it was Scandal Savage, but like I figured they would have thrown a little bit more
movie people. Yeah,
well, not just movie people, but like more like
wider recognized, iconic.
Well, but more of Scandal's like iconic look, with all the stuff that Gail Simone and whoever the artist was at the time on their Secret Six.
Yeah, but. So that's there. Superman Man of Tomorrow, Volume 1, Hero of Metropolis. This is Robert Vendetti's take on Superman, and if I remember correctly, I believe these are some of the Walmart giant comics recollected. Okay. And then Wonder Woman, Lords and Liars. So Max Lord, when he returned to comics just in time for the Wonder Woman movie. So if you want to see a different way that Wonder Woman and Max Lord could have squared off, then check this one out. So that's all from the DC side of things. Now, Wednesday, when all your other comics come out, but we're going to focus on Marvel. So we've got Alien issue 5 out. So Philip Kennedy Johnson plays well with Superman, and then he comes over here and plays with Alien. So crazy, crazy stuff. Captain Marvel issue 30 will be out. So this will definitely talk more about her... Oh, I cannot think of the doppelganger's name, the one that might be one of the Power Stones.
Star?
There we go. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think this issue definitely focuses on her.
She's because she's also in the Spider-Man books, right? Like her and Spider-Man.
I think she's kind of guest starred over there.
Oh, okay.
Like she might have done an arc or something, but yeah. But right now she's here, and this is supposed to shed some light on it. So we'll definitely find out.
Because Captain Marvel books have definitely become a lot about Infinity Stones in the more recent years, right?
They've definitely played with it, yeah. Like I know she was one of the characters when they were getting ready for Infinity War, when they recycled that event for an old title for a new comic,
right?
So she was like, oh well, I'm gonna get the Power Stone from a different reality, which is weird because then it shouldn't.
It doesn't work here, yeah.
But yeah. Comics. Definitely a couple of variant covers out there, and then keep your eye out for the Deadpool ones.
Oh, it's her in War Machine.
Is that War Machine armor? Wow, that is.
It has to be, right?
Yeah, it would have to be because that's they're the couple, but that just does not look like armor. I almost thought it was the big gun from the Ultimates. Black Marvel.
Blue Marvel.
Blue Marvel. I almost thought that was his costume. Like, I don't know, the colors just threw me off because it looks more like a black and white instead of the gray.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. Let's see. Extreme Carnage is going on, so get ready for Phage. Phage.
What the hell is Phage?
Another symbiote monster
Hybrid,
thingy,
offspring.
So I don't know if you want to answer Mitch's question, definitely check out this book. And there are quite a few variant covers to help you figure out what is Phage.
I want to see a little bit bigger. So it's got claws like Wolverine, kind of.
It's got the two claws, the spikiness to it. It's funny with that color motif. It almost looks like DC's Major Force with that yellow bottom and then red at the top.
Yeah.
I have no clue, like, if this is a new character or what, but it's out there. Gamma Flight issue 2 will be out. Al Ewing and Crystal Frazier are coming together to show us some more adventures of Canadians, and this time they will be dealing with Scar, son of the Hulk.
I didn't know he was still around.
Yeah, they play with him every now and then. It's funny how we have a lot of children starting to grow up in comics, you know?
Well,
Scar versus Damien. There you go.
I was going to say, they never let them like age appropriately. There's always like something that ages them up rapidly.
Yeah. Well, exactly. Like you look at Bruce and Dick and it's like, it feels like they could be more brothers than anything else nowadays.
That's true.
Yeah. All right. So Guardians of the Galaxy issue 16. This is a major one, folks. The Last Annihilation begins. So definitely check this out. They've been hyping this up. I hope it's good. So far, Al Ewing has been doing good in my eyes, and they revealed it right away. Dormammu is going to be the main bad guy in this. So it's interesting because Dormammu sits more with the mystical side and Guardians are more the extraterrestrial. So are you getting peanut butter in my jelly? We'll find out.
I've come to bargain.
Yep. I do love this one, though. The variant cover for that Guardians of the Galaxy, the old school love. So it's Nova like holding onto the wall as he looks at Gamora in her room holding onto Star-Lord's helmet, and then he's thinking, Gamora's so blinded by her love for Star-Lord, she can't see how much I love her. And it's like, well, actually, Gamora and Nova were the couple, but it was when Nova was dead and during Bendis's run, and then obviously they forced Gamora onto Star-Lord because of the movies,
right,
which did not make sense in the comics. Again, going back to some of those points.
True.
Not everything is a good fix sometimes, so yeah, but I don't know. I liked Nova and Gamora better, so I hope that relationship finally comes back.
You want Star-Lord to go back with Kitty?
I don't know who I want him to go back with, because Kitty just collects Peters. Hey-o, but so it's like, I don't know.
Did she ever go with Peter Parker? She did in the Ultimates. Yeah,
exactly,
you're right. Yeah.
So I was like, huh. So I don't know. I this is a weird one. I don't want to take from your guy, but I almost feel like maybe Abigail Brand could be the way to go.
Okay.
Agent Brand, like, all right. She
go with Peter Quill. I was like, to go with Kitty? That's weird.
Oh. No, that's gonna be Liana and Kitty. I think that's the big twist. That's
there.
coming.
You go.
Well, let's see. All right. So speaking of X-Men, so Marauders issue 22 will be out. So we're definitely gonna be seeing some fallout from the Hellfire Gala. So get ready for the next phase, Inferno. So let's see what's going to happen there. Miles Morales Spider-Man issue 28 will be out. So his clone saga is happening. So get ready for some of the fallout there. And will it be Miles or will it be somebody else at the end of this? And then here's the big one for the month. Moon Knight #1. Jed McKay is bringing back our favorite crazy. I don't know if we're going to see any of those Moon Knight core posts making their way to this book. Random bullshit to go. But Moon Knight's back, and his mission is justice.
And a few months back, we our podcast, we have issues on the Geek Elite Media network, interviewed Jed McKay. So go check that out. It was a really cool interview that
nice.
Keith and Josue had.
Nice, yeah, he's a fun guy to talk to, so that's awesome. So yeah, and then of course with it being a #1, let's see if you know your alphabet. We're at least to letter H, and it's still going. So gosh, there's gonna be so many. We're at J.
Ooh, that J one looks interesting. Who is that?
Elizabeth Torque.
Torque, okay.
Yeah, that's some nice art.
I like that. K. John Romita Jr. does L.
And he got 2. He got his and then Virgin Art. So you can get it twice.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, made it all the way to L.
All the way to L.
Yep. All right, let's see. New Mutants issue 20 will be out. I love the fact that, oh my God, I should know this character's name. I can't think of him now.
Kingpin?
No, not Kingpin. It's the one that they have the same features. He's that, oh my God, on the astral plane. He's that metaphysical force.
Yeah, the Shadow King.
There you go, the Shadow King. So I love that he's up in play in this because if I'm looking at that correctly, does that look like X-23 on the cover, right?
It does.
So we just had Honey Badger was killed.
In the Hellfire Gala.
In the Hellfire Gala. So what's happening there? Why are we seeing the Shadow King? And there's also been hints of Onslaught coming back. So like what they're doing over at the Mutant line is amazing. Like I am so hyped because we've got some major name events coming. So it's gonna be huge. We got to get Rafa back on here. Reptile number 3 is out. So if you want to see your adventures of the dinosaur boy, definitely check out his book. Savage Avengers issue 22 will be out with the Ghost Rider of Past. So a Ghost Rider who rides a giant spider, part 2. I was sad that wasn't just a 1 issue.
Is that the one that was in the Avengers 1 or 1 BC?
No, he's the one that rides a woolly mammoth. Yeah. And don't forget all these circus-themed Ghost Riders now.
Wait, I mean, was it the original Ghost Rider circus
but that
theme?
was okay because it was a motorcycle. It was Evil Knievel. He was his own stunt show. Yeah, no, they're all over the place now. Like now we went from motorcycles to cars, and now we're getting animals. So I don't know until I see. I want Ghost Rider flying a flaming pterodactyl. There we go.
What if? What if Ghost Rider grabs somebody and gets a piggyback ride and that person turns into fire?
Yep, you just see their skin melt. Oh, God, no. And then Johnny Blaze is like, this is great. Oh, beware the Marvel handbook for all the entries they're going to have to enter. All right, let's see. Regaining our senses of moving along. Thor annual number 1 will be out. This is a big one. Aaron Cooter and Jed McKay team up to put Thor on some wild adventures that take us into the infinite destinies. So if you're following that storyline, definitely check this one out. I've heard nothing but good stuff so far. Like early reactions are sounding really nice. X-Men Legends number 5 will be out. So this time Peter David is back and he's brought in Todd Knack and they will be dealing with X Factor. I almost had it all rhyme. But that one looks like a really fun one because I know Peter David did an amazing run on X Factor when he took over and created a brand new team of mutants, and you can't go wrong with Todd Knack art. So
well, I'm probably wrong, but this is the same team that did Young Justice, right?
Yes, you're wrong.
I am wrong.
Yeah, because I don't think Peter David embraces characters after 1999.
He doesn't embrace characters.
Yeah, I don't think I'm not sure I've ever seen him with anything with Young Avengers. Because I know it was, oh God, because what is it? It's Greg? No. Oh, I don't even know if I've seen Todd Knack with Young Avengers.
No, he originally started off with Young Avengers.
No, he didn't.
Yes.
No, you're drinking.
I am not.
Wasn't it? No.
Well,
Alan,
not the original Young
Thank
Avengers.
you. Okay,
the JLA with no grown-ups thing. But when they did the Young Avengers book, like, it was Todd Knack.
We're going to unfortunately have to settle this off microphone. If those of you are listening, please pray for Mitch. Send him good thoughts because I think he has a concussion.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair.
We're going to have to look it up because like now you got me questioning stuff. I don't think...
I mean, I'm probably wrong about the Peter David thing, but I know Todd Knack did cut his teeth on Young Justice. Did I say Young Avengers?
Yes.
I meant Young Justice.
Oh, okay. There we go. No wonder. Okay. Yes, that's... All right. Yes. Young Justice, Peter David and Todd Knack. Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think you are right there. Yes. Okay. If we go to the other side of the fence, yes. Young Avengers,
I don't know why I said Avengers. I thought I meant to say Young Justice.
Oh, there we go. So you're welcome for those 3 minutes of your life, fans.
There you go.
All right, let's see. Moving along to collected editions. Doctor Strange Epic Collection Volume 1 will be out. Master of the Mystic Arts, which is perfect because we do have a movie coming. So if you want to go back to the Stan Lee, Steve Ditko era and check out the original stuff, go for it. Generation X Epic Collection Volume 1 will be out. So this was when things got edgy and we were very much coming from the world of singles and we wanted our X-Men to be hip and we were living in a world that was Gen X. So there it was.
Did Generation X make it to the Hellfire Gala?
I'm sure the characters did, but I don't think the
There wasn't a
team
book or
name.
anything, yeah.
They haven't. But think about this. Gen X is our first X-Men movie.
Oh God! Don't say that.
Oh yeah,
That's
did you
not
guys?
right.
Did you do that in
We
Journey
did.
into Mystery?
We
You
did.
All right,
It's such a
then.
bad movie.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
It's such a bad movie.
I'm sure it is, but
it's still in the
there.
era of like because I don't think we actually had any. Well, no, that's true. I think we had the Punisher movie with Dolph Lundgren at that point.
Yeah.
But like most of the movies up to that point were made for TV movies, and this was this was a made for TV movie that was going to be a pilot for a TV series. And I remember in 1990 whatever when it was made and came out, I was like, oh, this is so cool. This is an X-Men thing. I get to watch this, and it's going to be a TV series, and it never
had
got
Cyclops,
made.
It's kind of like okay.
Oh, it's so bad.
Yeah. No, it's
so
horrible.
horrible. But yeah, I have not heard anything about Chamber or Skin or what's the Guthrie girl?
Oh my God,
young
one of the
woman?
Guthries. Husk?
Husk, thank you. I haven't heard anything about those characters in a while, so I know. No, I was gonna say Cannonball was Generation X, but he was actually New Mutant. Yeah, so
I think Chambers your only successful one. I think he's the only one that people gravitated towards grabbing. Now, what's interesting though in this series, this is some good Banshee White Queen stuff because they were the headmasters of that. The caretakers of this group of students.
which is what it was in the movie too.
Oh yeah, that's right. They did keep that. So yeah. So it's hit or miss. Like I remember this. This book made me buy Fantastic Force #1 because both of them were that chromium covers, and I was like, "Oh my God, it's X-Men #1 and Fantastic Four #1 of the modern age." I've got it. Ugh. I feel gross.
Walk away.
Yep. King and Black Namor will be out. So Kirk Busiek gives us a lost tale of Namor and how he dealt with the symbiotes back in the day and how that leads to him fighting against them today. So if you want to get some Namor action, definitely check that out. Marvel Masterworks will be taking us to Captain America Volume 13. So we are at the Roger McKenzie era with some great Sal Buscema art. And Punisher Epic Collection Volume 4, Return to Big Nothing, will be out. So this is the Mike Baron episodes. I think he's at the point of limited series, but I don't think he has his own ongoing series. And then another King in Black tie-in, the Union Britannia Project. If you're British, I'm sure you hated this. Yeah, it didn't do so hot. And that's your spinner rack for both Marvel and DC this week.
That is quite the spinner rack. So a lot of issues in there to talk about if you want to reach out to us and talk to us about any of the stuff that you read or going to read. Let's talk about Black Widow. First off, thoughts. Were you happy in watching this movie?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Right from the opening. The only thing, so I pegged right away. I was like, oh, this is, what was that show? The Americans?
Yes, it was very much The Americans.
Yeah. And this is how we see Wanda. I found it funny that Wanda had multicolor hair. No, Wanda. God, I'm still lost in the other shit. Now I'm doing it. Scarlet Witch.
Natasha.
Wow, Scarlett Johansson. So Natasha, I found it funny that Natasha had the multicolor hair,
right?
Blonde with the blue in it. Because first off, that wasn't a thing from that era. Like in the 90s, people really weren't dyeing their hair. Secondly, you're undercover. You want to do everything you can to not stick out. So I found that to be an interesting flaw. But I enjoyed it. I loved the way they played the family bit, how they escaped, and then it leads us right into tragedy. Mm-hmm. And I love, Yelena's character was great because she was asking all the questions I was asking. It's like, well, you knew about us. Why didn't you come back? And it's like, yes, thank you. She was all ready to sell out secrets during the Winter Soldier. Like this, if I had pegged this to be like timed, I wouldn't have pegged it to be post Civil War. I would have pegged it to have been post Winter Soldier because I think that would have probably been the spark in her brain to be like, oh, I should go check all this stuff out. But they did a great job. I kept expecting maybe Black Panther to come in and help her save the day. I love that didn't happen.
Nobody did.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what's great is that it shows that because they do make fun of it, like, oh, you're probably the only Avenger who has to take ibuprofen. And it's like, oh, that's true. Like everybody else is powered except for like her and Clint, but like Clint doesn't have to carry. He's like, I've always been a shield agent. I'm just here.
And he uses an arrow, so he's way far back.
Yeah, he can dodge some of that. He's got a little bit more runtime. So I thought that was great. They played fun with stuff. They cycled stuff in from the previous movies. I felt like they stayed very nicely with their history. The conclusion, I'm happy because I think something that a lot of us were worried about with this film is what's it going to undo? And it didn't undo anything. It added, which I think is great if you're going to inject into continuity.
I mean, knowing that the ultimate fate of Natasha in the MCU, did it in the fact that she's going to die once Infinity War comes about, or no, I'm sorry, once Endgame comes about, did this take away anything for you?
No.
In this movie?
No.
Neither did it. Not to me either. Like I didn't feel like this was a big issue.
Yeah, like it felt like it could have happened. Mm-hmm. Like if they had released it, right after Civil War, and then it plays along, it would have been perfect. Mm-hmm. I mean, like to me, like I think of like injected continuity. Like I look at two that come to mind. Ant-Man, and that opening scene when we discover that, oh yeah, they were the Cold War heroes. It's like, then where were you? Like, now Hank Pym's even more of a jerk.
Well, I mean, it's the whole like my wife got killed, so that's I'm going to stay away. Yeah, exactly.
It makes sense, but
it doesn't.
And then the other one is Captain Marvel. Like, okay, here's this beeper. Anytime something happens, you can call me.
So aliens attacking New York, not big enough. All this other
giant
stuff.
Wormhole popping in with a bomb. Yeah, we're good now. No,
But everybody's disappearing, and then all of a sudden I'm starting to disappear. That's big enough.
Motherfucker. Yep, exactly. That's the moment. But this one, I think it handled it better. I think it was, like I said, a perfect injection. Like, people love to make, because I'm a fan of, I love release order. That's my way. That's my jam. But a lot of people love to be like, oh no. So like, I think this fits perfectly. Like whatever your order is, Civil War, Black Widow, and then whatever's next. I think it fits perfectly.
In characters that we got introduced to in this. So we got Red Guardian.
Yes, Red Guardian. Totally changed. But as we've been doing this whole month, like these characters, they have history, but then they have nothing.
Right.
So they're so fresh that it's like, because I was learning like there's multiple Red Guardians.
Yes, it's a mantle.
It's a mantle. So it's like, okay, that's interesting. So the name that they use in the movie is Natasha's husband. Correct. So instead they make him the father. Right. Like, okay, well, whatever. Again, these are all titles. It's, it is what it is. But I mean, I enjoyed David Harbour's performance as Red Guardian. Now I'm sure he's going to be bucking at it like, yeah, let's do more. Give me that Marvel body. Let's go. So I don't blame him.
No. He gets to keep the same body because that way I get to say I have a super soldier's body. Yeah.
Well, but I'm sure David Harbour is going to be, hey, if I can get that regiment, why not?
It's fair.
My name is Chris, and I'm willing to act. But anyways, so I thought he's a good addition. Everybody's already starting their articles like, well, he did fight Captain America, but he didn't fight the Captain America. So that could be interesting to see. Like, okay, maybe if we do some Lost Tales, something to that effect. Iron Maiden. I can't think of her Melina. She was radically different. So
she originally is a Iron Man foe, right?
Well, no, she is a Black Widow foe.
Oh, is she?
She appears in one of the Black Widow stories in one of the anthology books. I'm sure she probably maybe made it over to Iron Man for like one, or like she's another character that maybe has like 8 comic book appearances. Right. But she did start with Black Widow. She was originally trying to kill Black Widow.
As everybody is.
Well, seriously, that's what's funny. Like Red Guardian's there to capture her. Iron Maiden's there to kill her. Yelena's there to kill her.
Take and the now name we're back. Family. Yeah, we're all family. Like you do with your family.
That doesn't say Christmas at all, right? But I mean, it's a great group of characters. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, Taskmaster.
So I was going to get to that. I was going to say Dreykov first.
Dreykov. So
he's the head of the Red Room in this.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a precedent for his character in the comic books.
Neither do I. So,
Yeah, I don't think so.
you know.
Like, I think this is a name that they just like, let's find the most Russian name that we can figure
what
out.
sounds Russian and
It
evil.
would just
There
throw
we
that in
go.
there.
Yeah.
And then we have Taskmaster. Yes.
Yeah.
I think of a very big character in this movie, but then also I have a bias. I'm a huge Taskmaster fan. And I feel like a lot of the people that are jumping in there and being like, I've been a fan of Taskmaster forever, and they totally killed my character, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, if you've been a fan of Taskmaster forever, you really know that there's no history there. There's really not of the character. Everything that they try and set up, the next writer comes in and says, that was all bull. Like,
Yeah.
that gets wiped away because that wasn't real. It was all, kind of
Because
stuff.
I mean, I've seen Taskmaster go into the Astonishing Ant-Man book, and he was comedic.
Yeah.
Like he was a schmuck, and then all of a sudden, nope, let's put him back to that James Bond-esque bad guy,
Super spy, or even he's worked for Hydra, but he was actually undercover for S.H.I.E.L.D. at the time. When in actuality, he was for AIM, undercover in S.H.I.E.L.D.,
triple
undercover in
cover,
Hydra. Yeah, and it's all kinds of different things. And the character is just a character that I enjoy reading. And it's a thing that they're going to keep changing up every time every time the writer needs a different type of thing. Like the most recent was Secret Empire. He's the sheriff of Madripoor.
Something like that. Yeah.
He's like he's keeping, quote unquote, keeping the villains in check there by taking their money essentially.
Yeah.
So it's a character, and yes, big spoiler, they changed the gender. It's Dreykov's daughter.
Right. Well, see, and this goes back to what we were talking about, though. Like, the power set, though. That's where I got bummed.
No,
Yeah.
This would have been a cool introduction to quote unquote mutants.
Yeah.
You could have had Taskmaster be one of the first named mutants because his mutant ability is photographic reflexes. That anything he sees done, he can do.
Yep. Watch
Even
somebody
if
play piano. Now he plays piano.
If he watches a Bruce Lee movie in fast forward, he now knows Bruce Lee's moves in fast forward.
Yep.
Like it's in the comic books. Like they've written it that way.
Yeah.
Now they've made it more of a tech thing. Like I don't know. So I'm sure you got it right when you were watching it. Prometheus, right?
Exactly.
Like they're plugging the thing into the back of her head.
Load my disc.
I was like, ooh, Prometheus. That's interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
And more Prometheus than the actual Prometheus the Prometheus we got in Arrow, which is very
The TV
strange.
show, that's funny, yeah.
So sure. Well, it's a big change.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. And again, like we kind of hinted at in this, like I hope they don't do that into the comics, because part of me wonders, like, is that they chose not to because Echo's coming?
Ooh.
With Echo, so she's very much got the same thing where it's like, if I see it, I can do it. But she's deaf, so that makes it even harder. Like she might not be able to mimic entire things, or she's got that handicap, but that's what makes her an even stronger fighter because she overcomes it. A lot of those scenes that we see in the Ben Affleck Daredevil film, those were originally done with Daredevil and Echo in the comics.
Yes.
Not Kevin Smith's, but when that era of comics continued, once Kevin Smith left, then it was Jimmy Palmiotti, Joe Quesada, and maybe David Mack, I think, might have been the writer, but they were the ones playing with that. So she's going to be getting her own Marvel show. She's going to be a character that's growing in all directions. In the comics, she's the new Phoenix. So I wonder if maybe that's where they're like, ooh, those power sets are just too darn close.
And the funny thing is,
Let's give Taskmaster a USB hole.
the only other time that I've seen quote unquote photographic reflexes being thrown out there as a superpower was in the TV show Heroes. Like there was a character in that show that had they even called it that. I believe they called it that. But she had the same thing. She watched like Lucha Libre wrestling, and she was able to do some of those moves onto people that were attacking her in her home. So I was very much I was
back to that.
Yeah, I was very much drawn back then. I was very much excited to see Taskmaster in this movie. Speaking of, what heroes did you see her mimic?
So I definitely saw Black Panther.
Black Panther. We definitely see Captain America.
Captain America. I saw Hawkeye.
We saw Black Widow.
We see Black Widow. Yes.
So I want to throw this out there to you, and I know that I'm doing a big stretch, and anybody that's listened to any of the other podcasts on this show knows that I've thrown it out there to other people, but I want to throw it out to you. There's the scene when she is fighting Melina and Red Guardian right before she gets pushed into the jail cell. And she kind of does this thing with her hand, and the blade comes out the top of it, right? It's very reminiscent of like Wolverine. Like, is that a nod to, hey, Wolverine and mutants coming? Or is that, and like she's watched video of Wolverine do this?
I hope so.
Or is it more of a stretch and it's like, that's how you would do it if you had a blade in your hand?
I hope it's a nod to Wolverine. I hope it's like, hey, they're there, you know? Because like I said, to me, I don't know. It's a cheesy fix, but you got to remember, the guy in charge of the X-Men can warp your memories.
This is true.
You know, so it's like, why not just be like, dude, we've always been there. It's just every time we do something, you guys celebrate us, and then 15 minutes later, you're hunting us down. So this is why we make you forget about us. You know,
that's a good reason.
You know, it's like, yeah, no, that school on Gray Malkin Lane, it's not a school. You know, so I would love that. You know, like, yeah, I mean, if we can have the Red Room floating above us like a shield helicarrier, then, you know, why not? So I mean, I would love that she might not know where she's seen it, but she has that muscle memory reflex to do it.
Yeah.
So I'm down.
The other thing was, the big thing that I had in my mind was like, you mean the Red Room's been floating around about in the air all this time, and like the other helicarriers that Fury has in the air hasn't seen them like once? Okay, sure. Maybe they just aren't allowed to go into Russian airspace.
There you go. Those lines are very tight, apparently. I would just love. I want a moment though, like Thor, maybe when he's like, "Hey, I can fly." I just want him floating around and being like, "Oh, Russian shield." It just goes along with it. Like, yeah, who cares?
One of the things I did want to throw out there is that there is a nod to an actual mutant in the comic or in the movie.
Yes.
Ursa Major. What do you know about Ursa Major?
Giant bear.
Giant bear. Is that his mutant power to turn into a bear?
So I'm going to be honest with you. I don't even know if it's.
Is it a man that turns into a bear?
I don't know if it's a woman who turns into a bear.
Oh, is it? Well, in the movie, it's a man because he goes up to arm wrestle Red Guardian.
Yeah, Red Guardian. And I don't even know if so the way I've always taken Ursa Major, like it was always in bear form. So I don't know who's underneath it. I don't know much about it, you know, but
so there was it's like that
Mikhail Ursus is
the name. So that would be a guy's name.
Yeah.
Mikhail,
there we go. That's
but I was thinking, like, you remember in the X-Men comic book when like Beast was feeling so down about himself. He's like, there's nobody else out there that's like me. And then he finds one, and then he realizes that it was a cat that was mutated to have a human body, as opposed to him, who was a man who got mutated to having a cat.
Something's coming to my mind, yeah.
So like, I was like, is this a bear that just gets mutated to have more of a humanoid look or something? But yeah, it sounds more like it's a guy.
Well, it's just it's basically Sasquatch, you know.
Yes, Sasquatch.
Hey, the Canadians have one. Beast is there for the X-Men, so we need a Russian. Go with a bear.
Why not bear?
You know, yeah. So, but you're right. That was an interesting one. That, you know, the actor is even like, I'm the first mutant. So it's like, hey, why not, man? Stake your claim to stay in the MCU.
What did you think of those action scenes? So like the prison break is the huge action scene.
Oh, I enjoyed it. So I mean, one, it was fun seeing David Arbor arm wrestle everybody, and like I think that must have been the one where he's like, oh no, you're going to snap, you know, and the arm, oh my god.
Well, no, that was a different one. So it was the first one. The guy before him was like it was a scrawny guy, so I think he was just kind of giving him like, no, it's gonna, and then win. But then the big guy comes up and he's like,
dude,
he's like, I heard you didn't even beat the Captain America. Like Captain America was in the ice at that time, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh, so you're calling me a liar, and bam, breaks his arm,
snaps an arm. Oh, that was. Yeah.
And then calls him a bear as he walks away.
Okay, so so that was I thought that was great. And I love too because they do give him an earpiece, right? So that's how he's hearing them. Mm-hmm. And I love that because then later on the callback, Natasha, I just want to say you don't have earpiece. Okay then. I thought that was great, but it was so cool. I mean, like seeing the way they were fighting. You know, the helicopters floating around, the explosions going on. I mean, it felt unrealistic, but I'm watching a Marvel movie. I don't need to.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to worry about that. But it was also weird is like at the beginning of the movie when he's the quote unquote American, you know, he's so much more put together and like coherent and like just, I don't know, a different person. And then 20, 30 years later, where were we at? 30 years later?
Yeah.
Like, maybe it's just, after being in the gulag for that long, he's just gone a little nutso. So
that's how I would take it. It's just like there's probably been a lot of time in solitary confinement. It was just rather unfortunate the fate he was dealt.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you're right. At the beginning of the film, it's like, oh, he's going to be the Chris Evans Captain America, like I'm well spoken and this is gonna be fine. And then later on, oh, we drink, it still fits.
It still fits. Which is funny that she would keep it. Like she kept it. Melina.
Yes.
How much are we supposed to celebrate this character that is definitely gone along with a lot of, what has happened? She has created the technology to manipulate these young women. She has gone. Can't blame. You have to take into mind. Remember that she's gone through the Red Room 4 times herself. She was kidnapped. She is very much maybe even experiencing some Stockholm syndrome. Like she doesn't want to go.
Super big time. Yeah.
So but she is very complicit in what has happened to these women.
It's tough. I mean, So obviously we're in the world of secret agents and spies.
Mm-hmm.
Like obviously, we're all, we were going to say in the other one, we're all villains here, so that echoes to it. Like it's best to not think about it. Cause like, I don't know, like the pig scene was like, dang, this woman's a jerk. Like when she's just like, stop breathing. And she's just acting perfectly normal while this pig is like, dying right there. You're like, wow. So it's one of those ones where it's like, just admire the character from when you meet her forward. Don't ask questions about the past. Don't go anywhere else. At first, I really was hoping she was going to be evil because that would speak to Iron Maiden, which, by the way, so she makes her debut in 1983's Marvel Fanfare number 11. So she's been around for a while, but again, maybe like 5 appearances. But I really hoped that she was going to be turn-heeled. Like, okay, this is cool. Like, she's going to be the bad guy. She's going to live up to it. Part of me almost thought she was going to be Taskmaster.
Yeah, from the trailers, that's what I was like, because they don't show much of Rachel Weisz in those trailers at all. So I was like, she's going to be Taskmaster. But then once Taskmaster is showing up in that helicopter, I was like, oh, because
we can't be in two places at once.
Yeah, exactly. So that's when I jumped onto the Antonia Dreykov thing. I was like, oh, well, then it has to be Antonia because it makes sense story-wise that the sin of Scarlett Johansson, Natasha's past would come to haunt her now.
Yep.
And I think that's a great way that they dealt with that. Like Natasha's like, I did a super wrong to you. Like, I'm not going to kill you this time. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to hurt you. This is up to you. Like it's whatever it is. I'm going to let you out and you're going to try and kill me. But we really need to get off of here.
No, I like that recognition. I like that they actually spoke it, because it's like there are some cases where we've seen the hero do somebody wrong and it's like, whatever, I'm the hero.
I'm the hero,
but
in justified means.
Here they actually played it like, okay, and I love that she calls it like, I'm going to open this cage. You're going to get out. You're going to try to kill me, but everything's falling to pieces right now, So I thought that was fantastic. I thought it was greatly handled. I appreciated it. It didn't demean my intelligence to the situation.
I don't think so.
So I liked that. I liked that it played to the reality because it's like, because most time we do see supervillains like, well, then if I'm going to die, I'm taking you with me. Jack Nicholson's Joker. Like, hey, I'm going to fall. Let me grab you by the ankle. So I thought that was well played. But yeah, I really was. With Melania, I was thinking like, okay, there's going to be more to her. But yeah, again, and especially too with like the whole, like it feels like her pig technology is what leads to even Taskmaster. So it's
True.
kind of like, okay, this could be something. But yeah, I was very surprised that she stayed on the good people side.
I think going forward with the quote unquote Black Widow franchise of the MCU, obviously we're going to be following Yelena. Like even the after credit scene is Val coming up and being like, hey, you want to talk to the person or you want to take out the person that killed your sister? Because who's going to really know what happened up on that planet, right?
Yeah.
Only Hawkeye actually knows, and everybody else just knows that she had to die so that they can get the Soul Stone, right?
Yeah.
That's really the only thing.
Nothing,
So even the gravestone that Yelena's at doesn't have Natasha's body in it because it's still sitting in a crater at the bottom of that mountain on Vormir?
Volmir? Yeah.
So sending her after Hawkeye, which is odd. This movie, its in credit scene is pointing to a TV show.
Right?
It's not pointing to the next movie. It's pointing to a TV show, which just shows the credit that all these things are going to be intertwined even more so.
Yeah.
I think that the character of Red Guardian and Melina and maybe even Taskmaster is going to show up in more of the Black Widow stuff. Like we're probably going to get a Black Widow 2, a Black Widow 3.
Yeah.
Especially with all the quote unquote Black Widows that are out there now, because all of them are going to get freed, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah. No, like it would be smart to do something with those characters. I mean, make a team. Give us the Red Guard. Give us the Red Guard and let's see what happens there. I definitely want to see them play more. I want to see more happening. I know right now, even in the comics, like Jason Aaron's Avengers, he's having them, like the Red Guard is coming after She-Hulk. That's why we're going to have World War She-Hulk. So it's like, okay, there's definitely play there.
I mean, what happens if they go after, or if they go to free one of the Black Widows, and she's freed, she gets to think for herself, but she's still like, I'm okay with what they were having me do.
What we did,
yeah. I'm okay with killing and, being an assassin and all this stuff. Like, so what happens when you have to go up against someone that is
drinking the punch,
so to speak.
Yeah.
So
no, I think that leads itself to like, okay, this is good character stuff. I don't know if I could necessarily see it going in the movies, but I definitely think a Black Widow show would be great. Like it could definitely lead itself to there. And it's like, okay, let's see how this stuff really plays out, because that's going to be the big question. Will Melina want to end the Red Room? Like, will the three of them come together and be like, okay, for Natasha, let's put this thing down. Let's put it down all the way. Even then with the time lapsing, like, to me, I don't feel like that was the first time Yelena and Val met. Like, they just seemed too chummy. So it's like, what other jobs has Yelena done for Val, And even too, as we talked to when we did Yelena's 101, could she be augmented now? Maybe she's got super adaptoid powers, and it's not too far of a stretch from what they've been doing with Taskmaster. So it's like, hey, maybe some of the robotics are in her and she gets those upgrades, So, I mean, there's a lot of threads that could be tugged to take us in a wild direction.
I think that this movie didn't go in the super spy way that I thought it was going to go. I thought it was going to be more spycraft than anything else, but I love the way that it went. I love the family aspect of this. The whole, when the four of them get together, or even just the three of them, it's like when it's Yelena, Red Guardian, and Natasha all together, and they're bickering as if they were still a family, and they have been a family for all this time. And then when you get to Yelena, Melina being like, Natasha, don't slouch. Like it's very much the family aspect of this that you wanted to see. So I was happy with this movie. Is it the best MCU movie? No, not for me. Sorry.
Yeah.
It could be for somebody else, and that's totally fine.
Yeah.
Also not the worst. Like there's a lot of worse
there's been worse stuff out there, yeah. Like I guess, so I want to throw this on your radar, and just because we watched it recently, X-Men 2. So I did feel a little bit of callbacks to X-Men 2 with the whole, like, I don't know, just with the serum.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
like
you're right.
It made me feel that vibe again. I was like, So I feel like I feel like they learned some lessons from X-Men 2, where it's like, okay, if we have this power enhancer, then what's the key? What's a better key for escaping it, instead of it just being like, oh, they kind of phase out, So there were some moments where I kind of was like, oh, that took me back to like, for Dreykov to just grab somebody by the neck and like start dipping some stuff on their neck, like, oh, okay, we could see this happening. But you are right there. The spyness wasn't as much there. Like I was reading an article and somebody was saying like Moonraker. There's a lot of
Moonraker, and
there's a lot of Moonraker, and they even had it in the movie.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was cool, but I didn't quite get that. Obviously Moonraker's in space. This isn't. But I will say, though,
they get pretty high.
Oh yeah, no. But I will tell you what, there were times in my seat where I was clenching, as they were falling, because part of me is like, I mean, how is Natasha gonna do this? Like, how is she gonna escape this moment? Because she can't fly, and I was just like, oh,
you were just expecting Iron Man to come in at that moment to grab her, right?
Dude, I was waiting for Black Panther. In all honesty, I was kind of like, just because, like, in the way my mind saw it, like, even though she zaps Black Panther, and then that's how Bucky and Cap get away, I can see like, I can definitely see him like, because then that leads T'Challa on the path to getting there to get Baron Zemo. So I could almost see him like at that point where it's like, I'm kind of glad you did what you did. Like there's no bad blood between us. And, with him like, yeah, let's put Bucky in a test tube and let him go to sleep. Cap, you can hang out on Wakanda and I'll make you these cool bear shields, I could almost see him kind of like, here you go. Here's your little black Nokia phone that you can flip open and call me if need be. So I don't know. I kept waiting, or even, some other Wakandans to pop in and help out. I don't know. I just kind of like, that's where my mind went. If anybody in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to come save her, it would have been the Wakandans.
And early reports in this movie was that Robert Downey Jr. was going to show up again as Tony Stark. I think I've heard now that the scene that he was in, or the scene that they used him in, was cut. Like, I can't imagine that's true.
I don't know why you cut Robert Downey Jr.
Well, if you had to get him in the movie, like, you had to pay a lot to get him in the movie, so I can't imagine that they actually cut that out.
Yeah. No, I heard a lot of talk like, it's there, it's shot, it's there, and it's like, no, it's not. BS, because you don't like, here's one of our main architects of the movie, and cutting floor. Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
So it sounds like we both still enjoyed the movie quite a bit, and we're looking forward to what they do more. Obviously, when she shows up in Hawkeye, it's going to be hero versus hero fight, which is also weird, right? To think of Yelena Belova as a hero in the MCU as opposed to the villain that we usually know her in the comic books.
Yeah, she's got a whole new character to her.
Yeah, I mean, is in the fact that she's talking to Val and obviously been working for Val.
Yeah,
does that mean she is part of a maybe Thunderbolts or Dark Avengers that's coming up?
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, I'm very curious to see, like, okay, what's her new ledger look like? What's in it?
I mean, even as she's Val is the counterpoint to Nick Fury, because even in the comic books they were a couple
lovers, yeah,
and then in the David Hasselhoff Nick Fury movie they're lovers. She is going around just like in the beginning of the MCU, picking up people, being like, I need to talk to you about the Avengers Initiative, right? Kind of thing. So I'm excited. I'm excited about what they do further on with these characters.
No, it has me excited. I mean, I was looking forward to Hawkeye just because I love the Dave, Asia, Matt Fraction run, and I feel like there's going to be a lot of sampling from that.
Right.
But I felt like this was going to be like the father-daughter show. Now you're tossing in Russians and Black Widows. I'm even more hyped. So yeah, it's got me excited. I can't wait to hear more news on that background.
All right, folks, if you have anything more to say about Black Widow, please reach out to us. I'm on Twitter as @Mitchipedia, GEM. GEM stands for Geek Elite Media. Chris, where can people find you online?
You can find me online on Twitter as Stuff I Should Say, should being spelled SHUD. And then check out my writings on geekelitemedia.com and AIPTcomics.com for my reviews.
The rest of Geek Elite Media is at Geek Elite Media on Twitter, at Geek Elite Media on Instagram, and Facebook.com/Geek Elite Media is our Facebook page. Check out archived episodes of this podcast and other podcasts on our website, geekelitemedia.com. Check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Geek Elite Media. You get exclusive things that you can only get if you're one of our patrons. And we just did the episode of Reimagine If for this week. You can find it there. We're talking about the last episode of Loki. And whatever podcatcher you use to listen to us, please rate and review us. It helps spread the word of our network. But until next time, this is Imagine If on the Geek Elite Media Network saying always remember to geek out.
This concludes our broadcast.